Welcome to this ATA Insights webinar. Thank you for your ongoing interest and support of our webinar program. Today's session will begin in 2 minutes. ATA Insights Webinars is an online platform for the dissemination of professional renewable energy knowledge across international borders. Our aim is to democratize access to information, for innovation to spread faster, and to make the industry more competitive. And we do this through our online sessions, open to all our members. Every year we do more than 100 sessions with over 250 speakers, 50,000 attendees from more than 50 countries. To participate in the session today, use the chat on the right-hand side to introduce yourself, your company, and where you're joining from. Under the screen, you will find the Q&A box, where you can send your questions for the speakers. We will get to as many as we can today. We're recording this session, and we will send you a link to the materials in a few days. Please consider supporting our content creation for the webinar program. Contact us on the email on screen.
Now is good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Powering Poland's Future, Unlocking Opportunities in the Biomethane Market. My name is Marek Pituła, and I am CEO of Polish Biomethane Association. And today I have the pleasure to moderate this webinar. I have been asked to say before starting, I'm going to give you some housekeeping rules. The webinar is being recorded and you will receive the material and the registration in the next few days. People who are connected on Zoom, you have at your disposal the chat where we encourage you to tell us where are you from, where your company is from, and why are you interested in this webinar. And you have at your disposal the question and answer box, where we encourage you to ask the question to our speakers who are connected. The people who are connected on YouTube, you have one chat for both introduction and question. Okay, now let's meet our panelists. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, Michael and Świętosław. After this short presentation, please limit yourself to 1 minute. I will make a small introduction, and after that, you will make your presentation. So now, Świętosław, would you be so kind to say a few words about you? And after that, Michael, please.
Hello, everyone. A pleasure to welcome on this great webinar. I am sales manager of eMaxim company. This is engineering companies that produce energy blenders. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Michał Pituła. Thank you for having me today. I'm a lawyer at McKenzie. I specialize in energy and environment-related regulations, as well as I'm also a member of Polish Biomethane Association. And today I will give you some insights into regulatory aspects of the biomethane market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for introducing yourself. And allow me to make a small introduction to our webinar about powering Poland's future, unlocking opportunities in the biomethane market. Please, would you be so kind to move to the next slide? So now there is short, brief information about our country. 38 million inhabitants, plus maybe around 1 million guests from Ukraine and Belarus. We have more than 300,000 square kilometers. The agricultural land area of agricultural land is nearly 15 million hectares, which is slightly less than in Germany. In Germany, as far as I remember, it's around 16 million hectares. Okay, plus to those citizens and the land, we have 6 million cows, 9 million pigs, and nearly 200 chickens in one lot in Poland, which is quite substantial quantity as far as the production, especially of animals' waste, manure. We are quite big producer of agricultural products, and we are, I think, third in the European Union in terms of our exportation. It's something like 15 billion euro. We have 6 million tons of food waste. 60% unfortunately are from households. Only 9% we are collecting from the net of supermarkets. And additionally, we could say that we have the potential of biomethane production, which is estimated by depending on the quantity between 3 and 8 billion cubic meters, depending on who calculates this potential and what is and for which purpose. It's one of the subject which is discussed in Poland because let's say like this. Technically, we can have 8 billion cubic meters of potential in substrates for biomethane, which is very huge. Technically, so easy to get, I estimate between 1.5 and 2 billion cubic meters. We, as Polish Biomethane Association, 2 years ago made a 1,500 pages study on substrates. So, and there is no big changes from 2023. Please, next slide, if you are. Okay. Having this potential with millions of cows, pigs, chickens, and so on and so on, altogether we are very miserable. We are very miserable as a country from biogas point of view, because altogether we have 300 biogas plants, including wastewater treatment, biogas plants and wastewater treatment plant, landfill. If we talk about bigger biogas plants, which are called agriculture biogas plants, which are recorded and by Director General of National Support Center for Agriculture, you have the map of Poland. You see, miserable 181 agricultural biogas plant as end of March this year. It's quite fresh information. The installed capacity is only 170 megawatts. They produce 7 million natural cubic meters of biogas. Okay, you can calculate how much biomethane is it. And they use those 180 plants use about 7.5 million tons of substrates. The wastes are 92% of in quantity wise. Okay, at the top are slurry, and the top is distillery from the waste from distillery. So this is the picture. Please, next slide. Hello. Okay, and now is the critical information. There is no single biomethane plant in Poland yet. The first one, this is quite fresh information from yesterday. The first one will be launched this summer by the Südzucker, German origin company in sugar factory in Szczelin. It will produce more than between 10 and 15 million cubic meters of biomethane, but partially it will be used for the production of the electricity and heat, and the remaining quantity it will be around 10 million cubic meters to the grid. They have also 3 other sugar factories, so I think that very soon they will copy this solution to the next. Of course, we know that there are several projects at various level of preparation at areas, but altogether, we don't expect that the next year will be more than 2, 3, maybe 4 biomethane plants operational next year. For some reasons, we need in 2030 around or at least 1 billion cubic meters of biomethane. I think one of the speakers will tell you more about those obligations. Please, next slide. So, to finish with a short introduction, the question, does it mean that Poland is a promised land for biomethane investors? And I think that the speakers will answer this question in their presentation. I'm also at your disposal to ask any question you will have after that. So, gentlemen, I think that we should start from Michael. So the floor is yours, and after that, Świętosław will continue with his presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. So we are waiting for my presentation to be shared. Okay. Again, thanks for having me, and I'm very pleased to share some insights into regulatory matters of what I believe is one of the most promising directions for Poland's energy transition, which is biomethane. But to begin with, it's important to stress that setting up a biomethane plant in Poland is significantly more complex than developing other renewables. And that's because, aside from the general rules for renewables, biomethane involves some sector-specific regulations, especially those related to digestate, as well as the waste used as a substrate, since we are often dealing with manure, agriculture, residues, or food waste. And that's why we have to take into account also some very specific regulations on waste handling, etc. And because our time today is limited, I will highlight the most important legal and procedural points. With that, let's move to the development process itself. Okay, the first point, the first key milestone is the environmental decision. Once the project concept is ready and the site is selected, this is the first major legal milestone. This decision is required for many types of installations, including, of course, biomethane plants, and the exact list of such installation is provided in a specific ministerial ordinance. You will find a link in the presentation. And this ordinance outlines which types of projects must undergo an environmental impact assessment process. There is, however, a key exemption that is worth noting, and that is that agricultural biomethane plants that produce biogas equivalent to 0.5 megawatts or less of installed electrical capacity are not required to obtain the environmental decision. This exemption is a real time saver for small-scale projects, and it's good to be aware of it. Next comes the zoning decision. This is necessary when there is no local zoning plan in place, so in practice it will be relevant for most of the projects. To explain the nature of this decision, it determines how the facility can be sited on the plot, its dimensions, height, architectural form, as well as other parameters related to the development of the land. Now, what is very important, Poland is in the middle of spatial planning reform, but the current zoning decision system will be still available until 30 of June 2026, unless a particular municipality adopts a new general plan before then, according to these new regulations. So, given that we strongly recommend applying for a zoning decision sooner rather than later, as this transitional period allows projects to move forward without being delayed by new and potentially more restrictive planning instruments that will make the possibility of locating an investment dependent on the municipality's legislative body and will involve greater public participation, most likely extending the process. Yeah, so once the location is secured, the next major milestone is the construction permit. This is standard for any infrastructure project and confirms that the planned installation complies with local construction and safety regulations. It must reflect the technical details of the plant and its infrastructure, including gas upgrading, digested storage, and safety systems, of course. And of course, a critical element of the process is the grid connection. This includes both the grid connection conditions and the agreement with the gas distribution operator. And it's an essential step in the process because no connection, no injection into the grid effectively. What can be a challenge here a challenge here are the gas zone absorption capacity and the heat of combustion of biomethane. And that is why early technical dialogue with the DSO, the operator, is crucial. I will not go into details on that, as this issue is more of technical nature, and my colleagues will be happy to cover the technical side of this issue later on. So to summarize these 4 steps: environmental and zoning decisions, the construction permit and grid connection, these form the regulatory backbone of every biomethane project in Poland. And can I ask you to go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Yeah. Once the construction is complete, the next key regulatory milestone is obtaining the right to start producing biomethane. And unlike other energy sectors in Poland, this does not require a concession. Instead, biomethane producers must be entered into a dedicated register maintained by the relevant public authority. It's a simplified oversight model that is intended to speed up market entry of biomethane producers. One of the reasons why I call this procedure simplified is that the registration is not discretionary, which means that once all requirements are met, the authority is obliged to enter the producer into the register within a certain deadline. This reduces bureaucratic uncertainty and shortens the time of the procedure. That said, of course, registration brings certain obligations, including regular reporting on the volume of biomethane produced and the types of feedstock used. Now, who is the competent authority? In case of agricultural biomethane, it's the Director of National Support Center for Agriculture. We use an abbreviation in Poland, and we just say KOWR. And for non-agricultural biomethane, there's a separate authority, and that is the President of the Energy Regulatory Authority, which we call URE, to simplify that. Now we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Currently, there is one official state support scheme applicable to biomethane plants, up to 1 megawatt, that inject biomethane into the grid. This system in principle means that biomethane is being sold by the plant operator on the market, while the state-owned settlement operator tops up the market price to the reference value, which currently amounts to about 127 euros in case of non-agricultural biomethane, and about 128.5 euro in case of biomethane of agricultural origin. And this top-up mechanism is guaranteed for 20 years. What should be noted here a very important remark is that now Polish Parliament is working on the draft bill that would extend the support scheme to plants above 1 megawatt, and the support would be granted through the auction system, which is a competitive process. And yeah, the draft assumes right now that the winners would also sign 20-year negative balance contracts, where the settlement operator would also top up the price. This is a response to the voice of the industry that complained that this 1 megawatt limitation does not really reflect what the market aims at. And we believe that this law will be passed later this year. At least we hope that it will be. As a separate note, I think that it's also worth noting the regulations on the national indicative target, so-called NCW in Polish, which, following the European law, promote the use of renewable energy sources in transport in Poland. And these regulations have recently been amended and now recognize biomethane as a qualifying fuel for meeting the renewable targets in the transport, which in turn should create demand for the biomethane among the largest entities operating in this sector, like Polish state energy giant Orlen, that publicly shows his interest in biomethane, among others, because of these regulations. We can move to the next slide, please. Yeah. As we all know, the economic potential of biomethane plants results not only from the gas sales, but there are also other sources of revenue to consider, such as the digestate and the guarantees of origin associated to the biomethane. First, the digestate. Its handling is legally regulated, and the applicable pathway depends on the type of substrate used. Recently, there have been some changes in the relevant regulations that facilitate the use of digestate if it's obtained from specific agricultural substrates listed in the ordinance of the Minister of Agriculture. These regulations, however, do not apply to biomethane plants that would like to use different types of substrates outside of that list, including, for example, food waste. But of course, there are different legal pathways for them as well, such as obtaining waste processing permit. It may be more burdensome, but there are also other legal pathways, of course. And the second stream of revenue may result from the sale of guarantees of origin. These electronic certificates are issued by the aforementioned president of the Energy Regulatory Authority and confirm that your biomethane is renewable. They can be sold independently from the gas itself on the Polish Power Exchange. Can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. Before I finish, let me briefly mention the Special Act on Agricultural Biogas Plants that has been adopted in July 2023 to streamline the investments in the agricultural biogas plant sector, including, of course, biomethane plants. The first point is that it applies only to specific entities, mainly farmers and companies involving them. And moreover, use of the act is limited to projects producing no more than 8.4 million cubic meters of biomethane annually. But of course, in return, these entities benefit from faster permitting and simpler rules, especially around location of the facility and the use of the digestate. However, entities that want to make use of that special regulations must also follow certain conditions. Among others, for 5 years, the installation can't be sold or used for other business purposes. So that said, choosing to follow the special route isn't automatic, and it requires a careful business assessment. Because while the simplified permitting and location rules can reduce time and administrative burden, the operational restrictions may not align with every investment model. So this is something to be duly considered. Whether this legal path is the right fit depends, of course, on your project scale, ownership structure, because, as I said, it requires the involvement of a farming entity, and of course, the long-term strategy of your project. It offers opportunities, but also comes with trade-offs that should be waived early in the planning process. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope this overview has helped clarify the key legal and procedural steps. And in case of any questions, please use the chat. And thank you very much. And I will hand over to the next speaker.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. Now it's turn for Świętosław. Gentlemen, please keep the time because we have we have few questions, some of them very, very interesting, and I will have a pleasure to answer to those very logical and interesting questions. So, Świętosław, the floor is yours, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, ATA, to invite me to this webinar. I really appreciate it. In my presentation, we will through about adventures that we have in the industry, how biomethane it's proof step toward decarbonization industry. So, can biomethane be effective, suitable, or complement natural gas in industry and energy system? Every company that I am talking with biomethane sent with this question. Also, as we know, we have heating value problem of biomethane in the gas grid. So we have a solution how to enrich for some cases biomethane to go with propane. It's a enrichment system, but it's not only for whole solution. We also have some adventures to from our customers how to mixing biomethane from biomethane plant with natural gas, how to keep energy for this capacity, because as we know, the 1 megawatt biomethane plants give us 250 normal cubic meter per hour of biomethane, and for example, capacity for glass factory needs much more that we have from them solution and to mix natural gas with biomethane as well. So if that mixing, the calorific value of this mixing can also be controlling. As we know, the biomethane have less calorific value, the heating value as natural gas group E. So we have this gap 3 megajoules. And why we enrichment? Because the regulation tells us that biomethane need to be the same like natural gas. So we propose this solution for everyone. Also, we now is in touch from Institute of Thermal Technology. As we know, the demand of natural gas in Poland be double in 30. That it means that natural gas and biomethane be used as well. In the USC, that is a diagram for cogeneration, but as we plus its industry, it be double as well. Here we have in green the biomethane potential. Yes, as Marek said, that Poland have a great, very, very great potential of biomethane, but we know that it's not be right now. For 2 weeks, it's going to go with some installation. Installation take time, so that's I think it take 2 or 3 years, but demand needed right now, and we spoke with customer how to solve these adventures. As we have seen this slide, our energy regulation office contract power in Poland. Also, they have some renewable energy like biomethane also, and etc. Fluid. So you can see that biomethane will go with good job. Also, as we know, the Poland do not have much tax of emissions of CO2. How to calculate to the industry factory, not much, but I think in the future the Poland pay more taxes for CO2 emission. Why we need biomethane right now in this sector? How it's look like to enrichment mixing biomethane with natural gas? We have solution from tank, pump set, containerized LPG vaporizer system to enrich biomethane to energy like we have in natural gas, or some regulations that need to injection to the pipeline. So we enrich little more of LPGs, maybe for bio LPGs. It at 3-4% LPG we mix with biomethane. Also, a very good solution for our customers, like industries, etc. Companies that need not only for grid but need to use in the factories, that we can mix biomethane with natural gas as well, with right heating value. It's very important to the burners in the factories that mixture need to be with same Bobby index, with same caloricity. So, for example, I have some calling from glass factory and then tell me that need to build some biomethane plant because they need go down from carbon footprint, and then decide to build this biomethane and goes with this solution. How it's working in our Poland, we have 3 working groups in the chambers of gas, that's 52, 54, and we decide how to do it in the real happens in the our market. So first group is talking about a transmission network, the second for talking and prepare some standard to enrichment by biomethane, and the third is my group. I'm team leader, that we prepare some handlines and standards how to use biomethane and mix with natural gas or another fluids in the capacity that need some factories. A little more about our company. We as engineering company, and we manufacture this blender that you see in the first slide. We also happy to help you how to mix, how to get a right capacity with any fluids of gas. Also, we have a lot of renewable gas mixtures. Also, it's a good one. It's a bio-SNG. It's a little bit more. I will share you if you call me or you send me some text. Why we use bio-SNG? Because it's same as natural gas, like biomethane, etc. It's renewable gas. So biomethane is like LPG, with also reduce lower of CO2 emission, and this future fuels of our markets. Thank you so much to being here. It's my contacts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's 11:35. We have some questions. How should we proceed? May I ask the organizer with those questions? because we have the questions in two places, and questions and answers, and as well we have some questions on chat. So what do you suggest? The question is to Mrs. Eva. Hello? Do you hear me? Światosław, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Cool.
So, okay, we have to decide by ourselves. Okay.
Decide on
So,
yourself, yeah. Proceed.
let's start from the questions which are from the questions and answers. We have first question to clarify. Will this first biomethane plant put any biomethane into the gas grid? Thank you. Yes. This is a target because the sugar factory does not need such a huge quantity of energy. Perhaps it will be gas system. The second question from the same gentleman, 0.5 megawatt installed electrical capacity. How many natural cubic meters of biomethane a year? Don't you think it's not set up correctly if we rely on electrical capacity as a unit rather than cubic meters of biomethane, if the goal is to produce biomethane at the end? Of course, I fully agree with you. The 0.5 megawatt or anything in electrical capacity, it's absurd in case of biomethane. In fact, the best factor, the best unit which you can we can describe, thinking about the size of the biomethane plant, is quantity of the energy, and in megawatt hours or gigawatt hours produced yearly. However, still there is habit to recalculate, and the usual question when talking about the size of biomethane plant, they ask me, what is the equivalent in electrical energy? Okay, the answer that it's many factors influence this is not understandable. So I fully agree with you. Okay, roughly we can tell multiply by 0.25, 2.5, because the usual electrical efficiency is 40%. So if we say about half a megawatt electrical power, it should be multiplied by 2.5. So we have 225 megawatt in chemical energy of biomethane. But of course, I fully agree with you. The next question is asked by Dr. Vanita Prasad. Sorry if I did not spell properly. Is there any plant based on the food waste? Yes, of course, there are at least 12 or 15 plants. The plant, it's I know very, very well because it belongs to my friend and it's next door to my farm. Use every day around 80 to 100 tons daily of food waste. So yes, the answer yes, of course. However, my remark before about the 6 million tons of waste food and only 9% collected properly, it's true, because 60% we are losing in households, 15% we are losing on the farms, 15% on the processing, and 9% in the retail outlets, and remaining 1-2% is in transportation and wholesale outlets. But it will change because we are forced to collect also from household properly. The next question of the same from the same source is, which raw material are considered in agriculture biomethanation plant? It's the same like with production of electricity from agriculture in agriculture biogas plants. Practically is everything which has relation to the agriculture production and processing, excluding the sludge from the wastewater treatment plant. However, if this wastewater treatment is separated in the factory, processing factory, between the normal and connected only with the food processing, it's also allowed. The list is very, very, very long. Also, the lignite cellulose material from the forest and so on and so on. If you like to, we can deliver you such information in writing. Next question is from Mrs. Ula Szalkowska. What is the regulation pertaining to digestate, types of feedstock, etc.? It's a little bit more complicated because I don't know whether Michael has spoken. Have you, Michael, spoken about digestate and types of digestate?
Yes, yes. I believe that this question may relate to the oh, sorry.
Okay, it's your.
Need to turn on my video. Yeah, I believe that this question may relate to these exemptions that I mentioned. There is this Act of July 2007 on fertilizers and fertilization, ustawa o nawozach I nawożeniu. There have been added some new provisions in 2023 on post-fermentation products, that is, produkty pofermentacyjne, and these benefit from some exemptions if the substances come from the ordinance of the Minister of Agriculture, and this ordinance is dated. It has been issued on October 2023. So these are the legal sources that you should analyze in case of regulations pertaining to digestate and these exemptions that I mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a next question from the same from Ula. Are you showing that demand for biomethane is coming from heat generation mainly? I don't agree with that. However, as a driver, maybe it's misunderstanding. As a driver for demand, a quota system and CEVU was mentioned earlier. How do you see these sectors evolving? Okay, we don't have the market for biomethane yet. This is the main reason that there is no biomethane plants, because there is no market, there is no will to make this installation. However, we are preparing several projects, as I told you. Okay, the main driver, I agree, is NCW, which is obligation of having a respective percentage of renewable fuel in fuel in general, which are selling the obliged companies. There are 16 or 17 companies in Poland which are obliged to follow those rules, including our champion, Orlen, Shell, British Petrol, any company which is selling, distributing the fuel. And the target is quite high, and the penalty is very high. So the main driver for biomethane will be definitely for the fuel. It's out of sense to use biomethane for electricity production. It's obvious. By the way, yesterday on this meeting of Gazprom I participated, was very very big discussion and the long discussion about this. Okay, the last question from Ula: is there any plans at the industry of governmental level for biogenic CO2 utilization? The answer is very simply no. No, because the prices for CO2 doesn't matter if it's biogenic or not, is very, very low. There is no special incentives. It's very, very difficult to prove to the body which makes the certificates, guarantee of origin or compliance, that it's because of this biogenic CO2, the production of CO2, the normal production, is lower than before. So for the time being, however we work on it, the answer is no. Okay, so coming back to a question from Vanita. Is there any plan? Oh, okay, this was answered. Which is also answered. Okay, Simon Antonelli. Thank you. Are guarantees of origin compliance instrument for target transport achievement. Are proof of sustainability certificates sufficient for compliance? It's still under discussion. It's still under discussion because for the time being, we expect two papers, two documents. One will be a guarantee of origin issued by a regulatory body, URE, Michael mentioned. And the second is proof of sustainability. We have a body which is quite well organized and is issuing and is working, for example, in other countries with those certificates, including Slovakia and also some others. Perhaps it will be united. I mean, yesterday there was also the idea that it's high time to talk about unification, that there will be one document. We can call it guarantee of origin, whatever you want, instead of two. For the time being, the expectation is two. However, no single one document of this type has been issued because there was no single cubic meter of biomethane produced in this country. Okay, best energy strategies. Large natural gas consumers in EU, Poland do pay for CO2 credits. ETS. The cost is around 70 tons these days. This will be an additional justification for the transition, to biomethane. I agree. It's not a question, it's a statement, and I fully agree with best energy strategies in this respect. Another question from the same source. In the case of bio-LPG, what is the ratio between biomethane and propane? This is a question, I think, to Świętosław. I repeat, in the case of bio-LPG, what is the ratio between biomethane and propane? Please answer.
Yeah, thanks for this question. The ratio between biomethane and propane, it be propane 3 to 5% if we have good biomethane, yes. But bio-LPG is the right new source in our market, but we working that with some groups to get not bio-LPG but LPG like in Germany, France, and etc. countries. So we need little bit of propane to get same heating value like natural gas. Why we enrichment? It's 3 to 5%. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question from Vanita. Vanita Prosit. What is the expected methane percentage in purified biogas? Okay, let's put like this. The requirement of gas distributors are very high as the upper heating value. Practically, it's not possible to meet as far as we are talking about the distribution, the distributors. It's possible to meet the requirements of transmission lines, which anyway is 12,000 kilometers. The distribution is around 200,000 kilometers. The transmission lines requires 95.4 as minimum, 95.4% methane in biomethane, which is easily to get because we are dealing with the technologies which can achieve 99%, even more. So there is no problem with this. The problem is with distributors. The problem is not with the transmission. We can meet the demand. But also I would like to share with you very interesting information. We as Polish Biomethane Association, we are making also our studies and experiments, and because we have something like small plant, which semi-industrial, and not in the popular technology, we can get in very simple manner 83% of methane in biogas without upgrading like on membranes or others. So the question is that the answer is 95, 96 should be met. We should meet. What will be, Andrea Marquez, what will be the biogas upgrading technology used on the first biomethane plant in Poland and why? This is a good question, but it's information. It's not. Let's put it like this: I'm not authorized to inform about this technology. Of course, in other projects, which I will not put the names, the most popular are membranes. However, pressure swing absorption in some cases is also welcomed. Mariusz Badura, and the next question. Can a biomethane plant covered by FIP program for biomethane use black electricity without the need to generate its own green energy from CHP engine powered by a biogas stream and engine located on a biomethane plant? Let's put it like this. You don't need to use, you can use the black energy to participate in those operational supporting system. But if your client, if you sell to the government, let's put it like this, but if you sell on the market, which will be more and more popular, because don't forget that in Poland, like in all other European countries, if you get support in investment, you can give it back. You have to give it back if you sell to the government. First of all, you can deliver to the government also the guarantees of origin, and you have to pay back all 100% of the public support you got during the investment process. So more and more, the investors are interested in, let's say, market situation, and it's not exactly the market, because if somebody like Orlen or British Petrol Shell is obliged to have respective quantity of renewable fuel in their portfolio, it means that it's a support system, but it's not for me. It's support system for me, but not directly. So most of the projects I know, or all the projects I know, will produce electricity from own biogas to have green energy to decrease the carbon footprint. Because if you go to the prices, the most popular product is minus 100 gram per megajoule of biomethane, and you can, if you use the electricity from the grid, which in Poland is very, very, very big footprint, the biggest footprint in Europe, you can spoil the business. Okay, and last question, Vanita. Dr. Vanita, is there any plan to produce biohydran, mixture of biomethane and biohydrogen? No, I don't know about such ideas, but I know very well that we work on the methanization of carbon dioxide using the cheap energy from wind turbines and photovoltaic. But it's not the same. It is not no. Or let's put it like this: it's kind of mixture, but in fact, the reason is we want to have more methane by methanization of carbon dioxide, because we have too much unstable sources of renewable energy. I mean, wind turbines and photovoltaic. Okay. The new Patrice, the new question: what is the source of methane? Can it also be generated by fermentation? Of course, methane is in fermentation we produce biogas, which is mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. So the answer, the source is biogas, and the biogas is from organic dry substance. Okay, that's all the questions. I will check whether there is on chat any questions. Sorry. Because still we have some time. Chat. Oh, I don't see. So I think that we answer all the questions. However, I have also the question which I would like to ask. Okay, Michael, because I don't know exactly. Have you told the audience about the zoning decision and the deadline?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I mentioned that, but to be more precise, I see this question regarding the time when you can apply for a zoning decision. So as I mentioned, zoning decisions can generally be issued under current rules until 30 of June 2026, but this is only possible as long as the municipality has not adopted the new general plan, which is plan ogólny in Polish, and this is this new instrument that these amendments brought in. So once this new general plan enters into force, even if it's earlier, for example, March 2026, not June, zoning decisions will only be allowed in areas specifically designed for that type of development. However, renewable energy projects such as biomethane plants will be in general excluded from this option. So in practice, the zoning decision route may close well before June 2026, depending on the local planning timelines, and that's why it is advisable to apply as early as possible using the current regime.
Okay, so I have also the question to Światosław. However, Światosław, it's a question which you can, I think you or me or whoever could talk hours, and we have only 3-4 minutes time. The question is, what are technical or regulatory challenges in integrating biomethane into existing natural gas transmission networks? Could you? I know that you have spoken about it, but can you a little bit develop this topic? What are the technical or regulatory challenges in integrating biomethane into existing natural gas transmission networks? Of course, in Poland. Please.
Okay. Thank you for the question. But for the transmission system operator, gas system, do not need any to look to my previously presentation. Do not need any enrichment system. We know that only distribution system have some advantages about heating value. This regulation also take place in some groups in the gas chamber. It's groups 54 that describe how to go with this injection and transmission biomethane to gas system. Yes, maybe for the next 5-6 months, the Poland, for example, some factories get some guidelines how to do it in the real condition.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so let's be realistic. The only one simply way to put the biomethane into the grid is, as you mentioned, gas system, transmission line, which has a stable, logical, and acceptable condition as requirement for the source. The other is, of course, LPG, the bio LNG or bio CNG, and there are a few projects which will produce bio LNG, and it will be exported to the neighboring countries because they are in such a places that there is no possibility to put into the grid. It's a pity, but this is the reality.
I have some mind about the transmission system story. Yes, the cost to inject to the gas system, like 30 bar, is very high. So our client, and asking a distributor system how to inject to the distribution. So we have some adventures about heating value. Yeah, and we discussed in the working group how to beat it. Yeah. So,
Yes, right. But you know, the good is that anyway, it's costly, but you can pressure. But if somebody asks you to have 104% of methane in biomethane, it's not possible. So
96%. I
Okay.
think it's real.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think that our time is over. It's 1 minute to 12. So I think it's time to say you, everybody, thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you to the speakers. And that's all for today. Thank you very much. Good.